Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am broadcasting from a hotel room today because my son had a travel ball tournament this week, and he actually did quite well. He was 2 for 2, and he pitched, and it was 3 up, 3 down, and nobody got on the base, and it was that simple. So had a good first game. We did lose the game, but my son did well. Okay, I'm going to start this recording off with a tweet here from XRP Crypto Wolf. Coinbase. We talked about yesterday how Coinbase is had announced that they're planning to go public now, and so but this says something that I didn't catch yesterday. Coinbase set its first investor day for August 14th amid rumors that the cryptocurrency exchange is exploring a public listing on the U.S. stock exchange. They're seeking legal teams in advance of filing a public offering with the SEC for a direct listing. This is the news to me right here. Their first investor day. That sounds similar to how these companies do like a road show where they present the company to investors and this type of thing. So, but this is very exciting right here because I believe that once one of these cryptocurrency firms goes public, that this thing is going to be real to a lot of people. I believe that's where we're going with this. Okay, Michael from at VAL5 Links sent me this. It was a tweet from Ashish Burla. As more countries research a potential CBDC, China is rolling out a robust distribution strategy for its digital yuan. It's only a matter of time before payments in Asia and beyond look drastically different, likely heavily influenced by China. And he went on, there's potential to make Didi, I don't know if that's how you say that, Chinese Uber, a massive payments player in short order. But also interesting that Didi was selected to pilot this ahead of incumbent digital wallets, Alipay, WeChat, etc. Where does this leave Chinese retail banks? Is China's CBDC strategy to level the playing field, or are they moving away from the bank pilots to give up upstarts an advantage? So anyway, Ripple keeps continuing this this whole narrative about how China is ahead of the United States and all of this, and also they're continuing the narrative about Bitcoin and Ethereum and proof of work being inferior to what XRP represents, which is consensus, and they're right. Michelle Vandenberg sent me this now, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that. This is Robert Kiyosaki. I think it's Kiyosaki. He's the guy that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Well, he apparently has his own little show. Bitcoin is in, real estate and gold are out, warns Rich Dad, Poor Dad author. Well, this links you to a Forbes article, but the article is written from this show of his where he had Anthony Pompliano on. And what's interesting about this is that this, let me give you a little bit of background. Before I got into crypto, I was like a lot of people. I saw the financial crisis of 2008. And any of us with any brains, when we saw those bailouts, we knew that that was the end of capitalism as we know it. And so many of us, including myself, began to listen to people like Max Kaiser, Peter Schiff, some of these guys. And Robert Kiyosaki, this guy that wrote the book, was also a gold guy. And I used to listen to all of these guys. Well, and that's where crypto came in. Once I found crypto, I was like, okay, this is going to be the new thing. It'll always be gold and silver, as he says in his video. Gold is called God's money for a reason. Gold's been around since before the Bible, so gold has and always will be a big part of your investing. It should be a big part of your investing portfolio. But gold and silver and those things, and then Bitcoin came along, and that's when people like me started to realize, hey, wait a minute, this is going to be something that's complementary to gold and silver. And then first it was Bitcoin. Now, Robert Kiyosaki is still stuck on Bitcoin, and it's unfortunate that what he's hearing about is Bitcoin, which is the front end. He's not being told by Anthony Pompliano that Bitcoin is an inferior technology and proof of work does not work. So listen to this, and you'll hear, and you can tell that he's wanting to know the truth of what he understands what Bitcoin represents, as do we, but he hasn't gone further down the rabbit hole to find out what the difference is and to know what XRP is. My contention to any of you that are out there listening to me, I believe that everyone at some point is going to go through this same exploration. They're going to discover Bitcoin because that's what they all heard about. Then at some point, two things are going to happen in their mind. One is they're going to say, well, all these Bitcoin millionaires, they've already made their money. Are there any other digital assets? And then they're going to go down the road that you and I went down, and they're going to discover the technologies that are real deal, like XRP. That's what they will go through. Robert Kiyosaki will go through that, and maybe he'll have a real interview and have me on his program, and I'll explain the real deal to him. But we'll see. So here's Kiyosaki explaining how he discovered Bitcoin and what his thought pattern was, and I think Anthony Pompliano is where he heard a lot of this.
Crack, he's not even Japanese. I should be Satoshi. But I'll tell you that the thing that really, really woke me up, and it was thanks to you, because I called Anthony when I have confusion and stuff, was this halving. Now the reason halving is important is because at the same time, get this is why I converted over to Bitcoin. This is my reason, and it was Anthony that cleared it up for me, is that at the same time that the Fed is printing trillions of dollars, Bitcoin is tightening. So Bitcoin's getting harder and the dollar's getting softer. Would you go into more detail on that distinction?
Yeah. So if you take quantitative easing, right, that is literally the Fed printing money and flooding the market with more dollars, right? It creates a higher degree or a higher number of circulating supply of dollars. So that's quantitative easing. Now, the opposite of that, quantitative hardening or quantitative tightening, would be them actually taking dollars out of circulation, right? And so what ends up happening in Bitcoin is something that looks like quantitative hardening. So there's 21 million Bitcoin that have ever been created. Every 10 minutes in the beginning, 50 of them were distributed into the circulating supply. That programmatically was cut in half 4 years later. So after 4 years of 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, it got cut to 25. It then went for 4 more years. It then got cut to 12.5. And just earlier this month in May, it went from 12.5 to 6.25. So the way to think about this is previously, earlier this year, there was 1,800 Bitcoin a day that was getting created and entered into the circulating supply. Now there's only 900. So if you think about the opposite of quantitative easing is quantitative hardening, literally you're getting.
So to Mr. Kiyosaki, if you're listening to my voice, listen closely. Here's the part that Anthony Pompliano is not telling you. He is not, and he will not. He's not telling you that XRP is also limited in supply, and over time tokens are burned and all of this. So from a supply standpoint, it's the same exact concept. But you send XRP, it's always 3 or 4 seconds when you send it. So on top of having that supply that is only diminishing, you can move it in 3 or 4 seconds. You can store it as a store of value the same way you do Bitcoin. It also is scalable and can handle many more transactions per second than Bitcoin. It is also cheaper than Bitcoin. It is also not mined, and so it's not consuming energy out the wazoo like Bitcoin. In the politically correct world we live in, where all you ever hear about is climate change, I can assure you that if that is not an issue in people's minds and corporations' minds right now, it will be once they understand it. All of those things Pompliano is not telling you. And so you're on the right track, Mr. Kiyosaki, but you're not quite there yet. Okay. All right. Now moving along. Now let's talk about the economics of what we were just talking about there. So this was from Grimace McDonald. Says the Fed ended bank repos. Wow. Saw it thanks to Florida Gator Trader last night. Now it's official. Banks have to stand up on their own. I'm a little baffled but I guess Powell is done selling liquidity crack to the banks. Will history repeat itself? So they're stopping the repo stuff. Now, check this out. So Pelosi is confident that the U.S. Congress will produce strong current events relief bill. Now look how detached from reality she is. This is how these people are insane. They are out of their minds. We feel very confident that we'll have a strong bill, Pelosi said. $1 trillion doesn't do it for us, but we can negotiate from there. Now, every time you hear these Congress people talk about money, remember, these people are not stupid. Well, I don't know about her, but these people know. They know how in debt this country is. And she's throwing around numbers like 1 trillion like it's nothing. And she's throwing it around when she knows this. We're $26.5 trillion in debt. I think a week ago it may have been 26. Now she's talking, oh, well, $1 trillion won't be enough. So this number she thinks needs to be at least 28 trillion or so instead of 26.5. This is how crazy it's gotten. Well, let me tell you what I think is crazy too. This video right here, and this is something that you all should think about if you haven't ever thought about it. I know a lot of you out there don't like Trump. I don't really weigh in on politics, is not what I get into on this show. But this is something worthy of you at least putting it in your pipe and smoking it, if that's the right phrase, just thinking about. And that is, we just happen to have elected the one guy who is better versed in dealing with debt and whose his entire life was built around leverage, his entire life. And here we just happen to have the guy who is Mr. Debt in office when we are at the very height of the worst debt bubble and crisis that the world has ever seen. Listen to what he says in this interview.
Hillary Clinton called you the king of debt.
Well, no, she didn't call me. I call myself the king of debt. I'm the king of debt. I'm great with debt. Nobody knows debt better than me. I've made a fortune by using debt. And if things don't work out, I renegotiate the debt. I mean, that's a smart thing, not a stupid thing. And I made a fortune.
How do you renegotiate the debt?
Because you go back and you say, hey, guess what? The economy just crashed. I'm going to give you back half.
Oh, well, that kind of jumped out at me when I heard that. So, all right, and now Ripple had, I believe this was from yesterday, but I was on the road, and so I believe that this came out yesterday. Being a part of RippleNet has helped us forge sustainable and scalable relationships with other financial institutions around the world. OnePayFX, Banco Santander CTO Ed Metzger. They kind of did a little announcement of this yesterday. Let's play this video for you.
I'm the Chief Technology Officer for OnePayFX. OnePayFX is the name that Santander has given to its new proposition for international payments. Banco Santander is the biggest bank in the Eurozone by market capitalization, and we have over 140 million customers around the world. The reason why we as Santander were interested in Ripple and able to move quickly into this space was driven ultimately by the customer need, and actually that search for solutions as to how to create that kind of customer experience. Ripple helps us address some of those pain points that we have seen in the past with some of our customers, and that's around being able to generate that certainty and that transparency along the transaction, so that we can show that to our customers when they're making their payment. They can see how much is going to arrive, and they've got that certainty about the timing as well. And Ripple also helps us address the speed point as well. So we've seen some, some of our payments now are instant, which for an international payment is a great achievement, and that something that our customers have really been happy with. In the territories where we've launched it, we're seeing customers do more business with us. So we see more transactions from the same set of customers, and that's a very positive reinforcement of the service. We've also seen some evidence of customers changing their behavior. So as they understand that the service is faster, and as they understand that service gives them that certainty of how much is going to arrive there, we've seen some evidence of customers using it in new ways, a little bit more akin to a standard domestic payment. And that customer behavior, again, is very positive for us because it tells us that people feel comfortable using the service. Now, in our partnership with Ripple, what's worked really well for us is not just the technology, but also the partnership with other financial institutions. We've found that certainly a very important point as we've expanded and scaled up the service to our customers. Our most important ROI from this is the customer satisfaction. The thing that's driven us forward is the positive feedback that we've got from offering the OnePayFX service to our customers. And I think as we've mentioned, that's the key attributes are around certainty, transparency, and underpinned by a competitive price. Ripple is part of that mix that allows us to deliver that service. But the key return on investment for us is being able to do more business with more customers and having those customers coming back to us in the future.
How about that? That's one of the largest banks in the world. I want to finish this video by directing you to XRParcade.com. Leonidas has put out this Q1, Q2 2020 XRP report, Survival of the Fittest. The report summarizing important developments during the first half of 2020. Remember, first half of 2020, the year of the digital asset, according to Ripple. Now, look at this. Q1, this is his report. Now, again, it's XRParcade.com. Now, here's the part I wanted to show you, is this right here. Employees. He lists the employees that have left Ripple. And I want to make a point here. If you see all these key, and here's the ones that have left this year. Dilip Rao, Evan Schwartz, Dan Morgan. These were key people. Kahina Van Dyke, Miguel Baez that we showed yesterday, Danny Aranda, Vanessa Pastrito, I guess is how you say that. But these are a lot of key people that have left. So the question you need to ask yourself is this about Ripple. I was telling somebody this on the phone yesterday. You either believe with these kind of key people leaving, it's one of two things. It's really not any middle ground. When these kind of people are leaving Ripple, there's one of two things going on. I don't think there's anything in the middle. Either Ripple has this is a mission accomplished thing and Ripple's about to go public, or you believe that Ripple has failed and these guys are jumping ship. And I mean, that's pretty much what a common sense would tell you when you see this. Well, I can tell you just from listening to Miguel Baez, just that one thing. I mean, there was no doubt in the look on his face about whether or not Ripple was going. In fact, he said as much that Ripple, he has no doubt that Ripple probably will go public because Brad Garlinghouse has said it. But the point is that you can look around you and see everything that's still, all the things that are still going on that are so positive for this company, and just listen and pay attention. And it's very obvious that this company is flying as fast as they've ever flown in terms of customer acquisition and the different positive developments that have been going on. And so it's pretty darn obvious where this is all going if you're really paying attention. And as Miguel Baez said when he was being interviewed in that clip I showed you the other day, what did he say? You would have to be a fool not to recognize the potential of XRP. Exactly. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that we are about to play another baseball game. Thanks.